Welcome all. I'm joined today by Anushavan Simonyan, the managing partner of Amber Capital Armenia, an investment management firm. Before joining Amber Capital, Mr. Simonyan previously worked for UBS as the head of investment banking for Russia and other CIS countries, which is a post-Soviet supranational bloc. He has also worked with Credit Suisse and Merrill Lynch London. So Mr. Simonyan, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So to start off, can you introduce to our watchers what exactly is Amber Capital Armenia? What is it involved in? How did it get started? And also, can you speak a bit about this EU-Armenia Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Fund, which we've been seeing in the headlines?
Sure, with pleasure. Amber Capital is an investment firm. It's an international firm operating in London, New York. Was established by my partner, Joseph Oghurlian, in 2005, initially in New York, and then the head office moved to London, mostly focusing on pan-European investment opportunities. And in Armenia, well, the main business now is the fund that we launched last year. That's the EU-Armenia SME Fund.
Perfect. And can you tell us a bit about the focuses of the fund? What are the priorities of this fund?
The fund provides investment capital into equities of local corporates to finance growth of those corporates, to help to restructure balance sheet, improve their operational efficiencies. In terms of sectoral priorities, renewables energy is a very important topic for us, followed by agricultural sector, tourism, technology, IT technology. Those sectors that are important contributors into the growth of our Armenian economy, but also companies that having potential to grow from local into regional champions and having an export-oriented growth.
And how is Amber Capital planning future exits from its investments?
That's a great question. Since the capital is invested in companies that are not publicly traded, obviously from the outset we need to think about what would be our exit strategy. There are several avenues for that. The tried and tested route is the trade sale or M&A deal, selling the business to either strategic buyers or financial buyers. We believe our involvement in the companies will help them to develop and reshape the business to the extent that they will become attractive for international capital. To give you an example, in the energy sector, our strategy is to consolidate several renewables energy assets for them to be sizable enough and have all the necessary ESG aspects to be attractive for international players. That's how we looked at the exit strategy. The other avenue is the capital markets on the market sales. For that, you need to have a developed capital markets to allow for companies to list themselves and issue equity. So that would be, going forward, the primary route also for our exits. And last but not least, we are also looking for structured solutions. And structured solutions could imply a put option that we would agree with the founders of the businesses, so that over time, when we meet a certain milestone, we would be in a position to sell back the business to the owners.
And what are the prospects, in your opinion, of capital markets development in Armenia?
For the markets to develop, it's basically a simple demand and supply equation. For that to work, you need, on the supply side, you need quality deals to be offered to the market. I think for that, there are good ingredients now. After several years back, Armenia has taken a very close look at increasing transparency, reducing the shadow economy. Companies are now more and more often opening their books, reporting audited financials. I think those are prerequisites also for us as a private equity to be able to assess the probability of investment and financial returns and associated risks. We need to have that transparency in place. I think from that perspective, there will be important developments also from the corporate governance perspective for the companies to be in a position to create boards, have independent directors, be eligible for listings on the market. On the demand side, there was another very important development, which was the pension reform that was done several years ago that created a pot of liquidity that is available to be deployed for supporting the capital markets. And I think that's a very important step forward. Liquidity is important. Equally, trading is very important because you need to have market participants that are providing liquidity on a daily basis. They are trading. For the investors, it's very important not only to enter the market, but be confident that they can exit the market. And for that, you need to have liquid stocks. So the more we see market participants appearing for activities on the capital market side, including banks, commercial banks boosting their investment banking arms, brokerage firms, providers of research, both on the credit side to support fixed income placement, but also on the equity side to support IPO deals in the market. So the whole ecosystem needs to develop, and I think the prospects are very good for that. We as a private equity, at least for our investee companies, would always be focusing in that direction so that we prepare our companies for future listings and future IPOs.
And you mentioned transparency, changes in the ecosystem, and many reforms that are ongoing. Many believe that Armenia now is really trying to drive that to make the country an attractive investment destination. How would you assess Armenia's level of attractiveness now? Do you think that it's moving in a positive direction as of late?
I think probably the best testament of that is the creation of our fund, because we launched the fund in the midst of the crisis. We are sponsored by EU and EBRD, our main partners, but also several other institutions, including Amundi, Hovnanian Foundation from the US. Now we are doing the second closing, despite the crisis situation and difficulties that the country has gone through over the past 12 months. And we have FMO, Dutch Development Institution, joining the fund. We also have C Quadrat, also a pension fund manager, an Austrian one. But also the government, both government and ANIF, the sovereign fund of the state, are joining the fund. So I think that's a good indication that international capital still looks at Armenia as an attractive destination, given the reforms that are undertaken and the general path and trajectory of the development of the country over the past few years.
And the fund is involved in a special renewable energy project going on. Can you tell us a bit about it and what was the process like?
Renewables is very central to our agenda, investment agenda. It's obviously it's about the environment, it's about the energy efficiency, it's about strategic independence, energy independence of the country. Our first investment is in the renewable space. Last year, in the midst of the war, in October, we closed a deal whereby we acquired a company that has a license to build and operate a solar power station. We did the financial closing also in the midst of the crisis. We were supported by our partners, Ameria Bank, that provided the debt capital. It was a combination of equity, which the fund provided, and there was also a debt financing from our Ameria Bank. And the financial closing was achieved in the first quarter of this year, and it took about 7 months for our other partner, Ecoville, as an EPC contractor, to start and finish the project. And in fact, this week, tomorrow, we are officially commissioning the project. It will be the official opening.
And can you describe some of the other investment projects that Amber Capital is involved in, or even the fund is involved in?
Sure. Last week we signed a very important deal in the consumer goods place. In fact, it's one of the leading producers of natural juice and food preserves and canned food. They are a major exporter, very well recognized brand. The intention there is to boost their activities, and they have a very good growth profile. I think the fund also made an important effort in connecting them with some of their end customers. For instance, a very large, one of the leading supermarket chains in Russia, that would also add, to the top line of the activities of the company. So it's an important milestone. It's a true private equity deal in Armenia. I think by all parameters, we have a very robust shareholder structure there and shareholders agreement that was put in place. And obviously, we are quite proud to partner with that company and take the company to the next level.
And there's been a lot of talk and hoo-ha over the agricultural sector in Armenia, and a lot of investors around the world have shown interest in the agricultural sector. I think some people are surprised by that, but what do you think about these changes and perhaps even your involvement with agriculture?
The agricultural sector is very important for our country, especially from the regional development standpoint. Obviously, it's strengthening the regions, our borders, and providing employment in the regional context. And I think from our perspective, we are focusing on greenhouses, the technological advancement in the agri sector, whatever has to do with the services within the sector. So agri farms and the creation of farms from the regional also standpoint is extremely important.
And finally, Mr. Simonyan, at the moment, Armenia's economy is growing once again, according to official statistics. But I'm thinking, what would you say can be done to foster further economic development in Armenia and really better the Armenian economy going into the future?
Well, it's a topic we can discuss for hours, but let me mention the following. We need to work very hard to make Armenia more relevant from both regional perspective, but also on the global scale. From the regional perspective, I think the importance of Armenia as a connecting route for larger companies and regional players is going to be central for the development. Goods coming from Iran, from Asia, be it China or India, and alternative transportation routes towards Black Sea and from there to Europe. I think Armenia, if manages to create quality infrastructure, reliable infrastructure, and not only roads, but everything, including logistical centers, etc., it will become much more relevant from the regional standpoint, and that will add to creating security around the country as well. On the international scale, global scale, I think we already have a huge advantage because of the diaspora. So the diaspora already contributes well into that. It's also very important that we do more in the areas of science and innovation. I think that's how we can, reach out from the country, and be visible on a global scale. I would also mention things like, medical science, AI, the technology, and the whole new economy, including startup, creating an ecosystem for startup developments in the country, for the country to become a hub, regional hub for startups. I think that would be a great, achievement and development. Also, given the connectivity between Armenia and diaspora, especially diaspora in the Silicon Valley, which provides an additional advantage, natural advantage.
Well, Mr. Simonyan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.